Welcome in to another regularly scheduled Thursday night episode of the pod. Clayton, welcome in. I see some new gear on you.
Yeah, we're rocking Devils gear tonight. I'm about to show you this jersey. We got the Stadium Series jersey out, the Jack
I
Hughes
love it.
jersey. Devils season opener tonight. Super excited about this hockey season. We had John Tortorella pregame pick us to win the Stanley Cup. Didn't get off to the start. We would have hoped we lost tonight, but it's good to have hockey season back with the way my fantasy season's going. But we'll
Has
see.
been a
We'll
little
see.
brutal with the injuries. Good to see Jack Hughes back out there, another injury guy. So
Yeah. Just a lot of people I like just seem to get hurt, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm bad luck, but yeah, the injuries have been rough. Some may say it's, some of the worst injury luck in this league's history.
I'd have to look back and see if it is, but how it matches up against some other tough seasons. But it's a great jersey. Love the red and black on the Stadium Series. I'm sure Joey'd be happy to see it. Big Devils fan.
Yeah, big Devils fan, big supporter.
Been huge. But back to our regularly scheduled programming here with some fantasy football. We've got our week six matchups and waivers episode for y'all today. So let's get right into that. All right, starting off with the waivers. A little bit quiet this week compared to a few of the previous weeks where we had some pretty big pickups. Starting off, Clayton, I'll let you, Mr. Big Spender here, start us off.
Yeah, me and Scott tied at $27. I don't know if I've ever actually tied with someone. I know it's happened before in this league, but I don't know if I've ever done it. Um, Nice to know you put the exact right amount of money on a player. It just feels
Right?
good. I looked at that and I was like, oh, perfect. And I needed the wide receiver help. Lamb being hurt, needed to get Juwan, and then Jacoby Myers. Ever since I traded for him, has just sucked ass. So needed to get Juwan on the squad.
He could be a great pickup with all the multitude of injuries to the Niners' skill players and receivers that they've got going. So I like the pickup. You didn't need Justin Herbert with the way May's playing, so I liked it. And yeah, it's kind of rare that you see the waiver priority come into play in our league
Yep.
now with the fab budget. So cool to see it play out like that. And then some other notable pickups. We've got Bo going with Jared Goff. No, drop Jared Goff, picked up Stafford for 15.
Yeah, and
Stafford's been playing
I
great.
yeah, I love that pickup for Bo. Stafford's been kind of on a heater lately.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Gets to
like
play
real
Baltimore this
quick.
week.
Yeah, does have Baltimore, which is just a matchup that just screams points. But also Stafford's the fourth quarterback right now and fifth overall in total points. So he's killing it.
Yeah, when you've got Puka, I mean, it helps a lot. You'd expect a guy like that to be able to put up some points. And I think in the past, Stafford's actually kind of struggled because of a lot of the yards he gets go to only one receiver, and he ends up with under 200, maybe a touchdown or two. But this year it's looked a little bit different, and he's been really good. Ramondre Stevenson got more money spent on him somehow. I mean, with Gibson going down, you understand it. I think Scott could use the running back help. So we'll see how he looks. I have to think if he fumbles one more time, I mean, it has to happen at some point that he doesn't get the ball anymore.
See, I disagree as much as I hate to say it as a Patriots fan. I just think Mike just the way he is. He likes to give the vets the ball a little bit more. And I mean you see it with our wide receiver too, Kyle Williams. He doesn't I think he had like 10 snaps last week or something crazy low. And again, it's a guy we took in the third round. I mean, I kind of need Henderson to get going with Hampton
You
going
could
down this
definitely
week,
use it.
but I just think Stevenson keeps getting the ball unless he has. I think I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to see. I do think he gets the goal line work too. Like, and I mean, you saw it last week against
Does
Buffalo. He
yeah.
20 total yards, I think, on the ground. On the ground, I think he had more if you count some catches, but and then 2 touchdowns. So I do think he keeps the goal line work probably for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean he definitely scored some points last week, so uh, see how it works out going forward. Chargers running backs with Hampton going down. There's some some value to be had there. I believe Casey got Haskins for 15, so relatively cheaply. But I think that comes at the expense of we don't really know what's going to happen there between him and Vidal, and I've even heard some trade rumors about them getting another running back. Um, Hopefully Hampton, and with Hampton coming back, what should be not a season-ending injury, um, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see only 15 go on him. I was so fed up with the Chargers. I didn't put any money on him, but 15 seemed low. But I do understand now that offense, it doesn't look as good as of late as it might have at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, agreed. And then I think we can go kind of quick through the rest of them. Packers defense, I had them against immobile Joe Flacco, Kenneth Gainwell. I think Warren's supposed to play this week. I haven't heard anything today, but he played great when Warren was out. Kyle Pitts is back on Bo's team instead of the tackle Mark Andrews, and then it looks like defenses and kickers throughout the rest of the way.
Yeah, the one thing I'll note, a guy that we had on our most disappointing players list, who we ranked probably in the top. I know we kind of didn't rank him at all, but like the one guy I highlighted that's probably the third most disappointing, Calvin Ridley, was dropped this week.
Back to waivers. Yeah. Yep. If you don't put up points, that's what's going to happen. And this must have been the week that Bo finally had enough. Alrighty. Let's get into some more exciting news here. Little trade alerts. Got a couple of them this week, and some pretty big ones, actually. Some might say one of the biggest ones we've seen. Not the first one.
We'll start with the first one. This is not the biggest one we've ever seen. A move that confused me from Scott's point of view. I definitely understand Joey's side of this. I think you're getting a guy in Genty who gets the ball a ton. And in fantasy, that's usually a good thing. He is running back 9, so maybe underperforming to where Scott drafted him, but he's still running back 9 right now. So he's relatively pretty good. And then you get Godwin, who I don't know if I see too much there, but I mean, maybe could be something that Bucks offense scores points, and maybe as he gets healthier, he scores some points. But I like this trade probably a lot more for Joey. I will say Montgomery's running back 14, so if he gets the ball, he tends to find the end zone and have some big runs. And then DK is wide receiver 21, but he did have the bye already, so it's not helping him. But he only has 1 week above 10 points, which makes this move confusing for me, I guess.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Montgomery can get scripted out of games, and that's something that's not going to happen to Genty. I think even if they're behind big, he's consolidated enough touches for the Raiders. But if the Lions are behind, then Montgomery can not see the field for long stretches of the time. Metcalf is a huge upgrade. It's kind of interesting from infamous DK hater Scott Ingle to see him going after DK, but that is a big upgrade for compared to Godwin. But I just didn't think it was enough of an upgrade over Scott's other receivers that I think he has a little bit of depth at for it to be worth the downgrade of running back. But I don't tell people how to manage their teams, and Montgomery, when he's hot, can definitely keep up with Genty. So, be interesting.
Yeah, and you saw DK kind of have a big week right before the bye. Maybe that momentum keeps going, but again, I love the trade for Joey. Question marks when I think about why Scott did it.
Yeah, DK was a guy that I actually kind of liked before the season started. We've seen Rodgers really target one receiver that he tends to like before with Devontae and even Garrett Wilson when before Devontae got there in New York. So if DK takes that over, then I could definitely see it being worth it. But it hasn't materialized consistently yet.
Yeah.
And then the big one, I'm gonna take a little here. I'm sending out some good names here. James Cook, Devo Samuel, and DeAndre Swift. And I'll say they've all served me well. Appreciate their time on the squad, helped me get to 9-1. Couldn't have done it without those guys. They've all started multiple games for me. Been great. But welcoming to the team are Joey's top two picks, Bijan Robinson
Yeah.
and Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
Another guy that we highlighted on the disappointing list that we talked about with BTJ, but one guy who is not even close to sniffing it in Bijan.
Yeah, definitely not there. Bijan, he's averaging 20.3 points a game right now. He was Joey's first round pick at 102, which, I mean, you rarely see a guy get traded that high. And we have never, I'm 95% sure, never seen someone trade their first two picks. So I think this is the biggest trade this league has ever seen
It's a
because
big
of
one.
that. It
And
was a 3-for-2. I think Joey gets a lot of value. I think it's a win-win for both teams.
I agree with you. That was kind of my thoughts behind it. Joey definitely needed some depth. I think he went into the week with 3 empty spots on the roster and started making some moves yesterday to add some more players. Um, my team had some depth that I felt like I could give up, and especially sitting at 9-1, not need around as much for the coming weeks. And what I really wanted to get was some more star power. And Bijan Robinson is one of those guys who you could see carrying you in a single week to a win, and is one of the players who I expect to see on a lot of championship teams. I think he was last
Yeah,
year.
he's averaging the second most points out of running backs, and the only guy ahead of him is also on your team. So it's crazy to think about the two running backs averaging 1 and 2 on the same roster. So definitely scary when you have to match up against that.
I love it, and I'll say this: it's almost similar to the above deal where I semi think that James Cook can kind of disappear. I mean, we saw, I think, a rare example of it against New England last week where he didn't get many carries in the second half. I don't think that can happen with Bijan because of the way he can catch the ball. He had 100 yards receiving in his last game and a touchdown. Um, and James Cook is a great receiver, but he's not the same level as Bijan is. And I'm going to
Yeah.
hold my hope out that Brian Thomas can figure it out because I don't think he's forgotten how to catch.
Yeah, I will say so. Like when I look at this deal and why I say it's win-win is right now you're 9-1. You can afford to swing, for the fences, and in that you kind of did, but at the same time you didn't. Bijan's a guy like we all expected him to be, wide receiver 1 or 2 for this year. So you get him, which I'm gonna say is a guarantee if healthy, and then you kind of get that high risk, high reward in Brian Thomas. And I know he hasn't had the numbers, but when you look at the targets, like the targets are still kind of there. If he would get if he would have 2 touchdowns right now on the
Yep,
season, you would feel a lot differently about him. And honestly, the Jags are playing some good football, so you never know. I think it's well worth the trade. And then when you look at Joey's team, he gets a guy Debo Samuel who's balling right now with the Terry
yep.
McLaurin, the contract stuff, the slow start, the injury. I think you have a good passer in Jaden Daniels there, so I think Debo continues to put up points. James Cook is 18.6 points a game at the running back position. He's right now in fifth for average points a game. So Joey gets a really good running back in James Cook. And then Swift, who averaging a respectable 10.8 points a game, can fit a role in the flex. And that's kind of what Joey was after.
I agree. I'll say one thing. And Clayton and I talk a lot before and after these podcasts just to get things together and when we're editing things. Um, and I wanted to have Joey on for this episode, and he almost was, but I wanted to tell him this in person. DeAndre Swift is a player that I have been trying to get off of my team for most of the year, and I will. He's performed decently. He looks like he does have a lock on at least the majority of the carries in Chicago and the running back touches. I will just be happy to see him do it on someone's team other than mine.
Yeah, The thing that scares me with Swift is the average yards per carry. You look at the last 2 weeks being under 3 yards, back to back weeks, which is tough. But I mean, Joey has Genty and Cook, so he's got two solid
Yep.
guys, two top 10 running backs. So Swift kind of is that flyer flex play. He's still got Jalen Moore and he's got Wendell on his team
Right.
who had a great game tonight. Joey just didn't happen to play him. So I kind of like the fact that it is kind of a flyer there, and he gets a solid running back in James Cook, and then Debo, who's been balling.
And you can get a little bit of more insight because I was involved in the trade, so I was there for the negotiations. There was a prior version of it that had Cam Skatte-BOOM involved instead of DeAndre Swift, and the reason that one didn't go through is because I convinced Joey I didn't want to change my team name. So let's get into some matchups here, Clayton. Starting off with you. Taking on
Yeah.
Casey this week.
This is the this is the first week I'm gonna not pick myself. You see me in Devil's gear for a reason.
Sad day.
I like hockey season. My team is actually now I changed my name to IRU Serious. The injuries this year have just been absolutely killing me. Literally every week, something new. Someone goes on IR. I know CD Lamb didn't go on IR, but he's probably gonna miss 4 games. Could have gone on IR. Amon Ra didn't practice Wednesday. Kind of gave me a little little scare there. So it's just rough when you're dealing with injuries. I was trying to make trades. One of the responses I got back is I just can't do it because of the injuries. It's hard to make moves. You can't really drop or move guys because I mean,
Yeah, they're too good to drop.
I'm not going to drop George Kittle, but again, no one also wants George Kittle. It's tough, tough, it's tough. So I am gonna pick Casey this week. I can't I just don't think I can fall behind Ryan too much in picks. And then I'm not I think it will be close, hopefully. I don't think I'm completely out of this game by any means, but I did pick Casey.
I will say the projections from ESPN also think that you'll be close, and looking at some of the matchups, I could definitely see it. I also picked Casey just because he does have a little bit more of that star power in his lineup right now with guys like Henry and Jamar Chase, even though they've got obviously got their own struggles. I think it'll be a close one. The X factor I think could really be Rico Dowdle there against Dallas, depending on if Chuba's back. If he gets all of the touches again against Dallas defense that has not looked good, then it could be a little bit more trouble for you.
Yeah, I agree. I have Rico in a different league, and he balled out last week, as we both know. So it is slightly scary. Hubbard did not practice today, so it is not looking good, I guess, for me. Looking good for Casey there. Be interesting to see the Bengals with Joe Flacco at the helm. I
It will
think
be.
they said something. He's like last year he was the eighth highest quarterback with checkdowns, so maybe Chase Brown gets a boost there, which my team desperately needs. And then with Hampton going down, Gibson also went down. So hopefully the Patriots finally unlock Travion Henderson for me. So it
I,
is it is tough though. I did add Juwan Jennings, hoping he was going to be in my lineup this week, but I believe he did not practice today as well. So kind of
brutal.
he practiced in a limited fashion. So I don't know. Maybe him instead of Jacoby Myers. I would like that.
On the up and up, sounds like for Mr. Jawan. Alrighty, moving on. We've got Sam versus Bo. And as much as I want to believe in Bo every week, this might not be the one. We are recording Thursday after the Thursday night game. So get a little bit of insight here. Barkley getting only 7, and Jake Elliott, I mean, you can't expect that much about a kicker, but didn't pop off for like 4 or 5 field goals. Not a great start to the week for Bo there, especially with a guy that he traded some pretty massive assets to get onto his team. Little tough, and I think Sam's team has really started to pull it together in the last week or two.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we talked about it last episode, but Dak's been playing good. You got Puka, who's just absolutely killing it. Achan continues to do his thing. Pollard, I know as Tajay comes back, Pollard might, take a little bit of a hit, and then it looks like there's a chance Lamar, or I think Lamar's going to miss this week again. So I personally think Zay takes a hit there. Um, but I will say with Dak, Achan, and Puka, and then I'm going to say the X factor here is Michael Pittman, who I think
He's been
continues
good.
to keep playing well. I think that helps Sam lift him over Bo. And as you've already stated, Saquon getting 7. I mean, it's probably a guy Bo would expect to score second or third most points for him a week, and 7's just
Yeah.
not probably going to do that. I do
You'd
like
like
the
to see at least get
Stafford
to double
matchup
digits
versus
there.
Baltimore.
Yeah, Stafford versus Baltimore. You'd like to see Saquon get at least double digits for a guy that's drafted, I think, 4th overall, 4th or 5th.
Definitely.
I think Kamara was questionable too with an injury. I'm not sure if we're seeing those listings on this or not, but I'll be curious to see if him or Kendrick Miller is taking over as the top running back
Miller gets
in
more
New
snaps
England.
by
Or
week. He's chilling on my bench, and I'm almost praying Kamara gets traded at this point.
you could use it.
But then watch him get traded to the Chargers and mess up something else for me. So maybe I guess maybe I don't know, but
Gotta be careful what you wish for.
Kamara did practice today, limited
Okay.
fashion.
Okay. So hopefully he plays. You never like to see guys like that not playing.
Yeah.
But next matchup, we've got the newly rebuilt Joey versus Cub. And we both went with Joey. And actually, interesting here. So Joey did broadcast some insider information that the trade for Bijan was about to go down in the group chat yesterday. And I'll admit I had nothing in place before that, and I saw that Bijan was on the market and had to get an offer out there. Ended up scooping him, and it ended up being from Cub, who was not all too happy about it. Some not safe for the pod comments, but I think with all the additions that Joey made, we've both gone with him. We talked about Genty and Cook, so he's got two very solid running backs to pair with JSN, Debo, and Dallas Goedert, who just had a pretty big night for Philly. A very big night for a tight end with 22 points.
Yeah, definitely. I would. I think I'm gonna just say the tweet that Cubs said. There's nothing terrible in there, but
Oh,
it
we
says,
read. Okay.
"I would like to say that it is completely unethical for rebuilding year to sell my bid in public like that. Relations are completely fractured between LRS and rebuilding year. I would recommend to never trade with rebuilding year ever again. LRS will never make a proposal to Cesar be there, but oh yeah, to rebuilding year ever again. Thank you for your time." I mean, I agree. Joey kind of made it sound like he was going to accept something by 5 o'clock unless he got a better offer. And then
There was a
he
better offer.
did get a better offer. So um, I don't love the broadcasting of the trades. I try to not do that. I understand why people do it. You probably will get more offers, especially if it's a guy like that you draft at the 102. But I think for the most part, the trades that I've offered and the trades I've accepted have been pretty quiet this year, and I just think that's the right way to do it.
That's fair. Yeah, I typically haven't broadcasted any, but you see a guy like that come available, it's like you have to get in on at least put out a feeler. I am going to just speculate. I have no insider info here that the trade for Bijan would have looked something like Ken Walker or or Bill Krosky Merritt and Justin Jefferson for Bijan, and you know everyone can kind of decide what they think was the better offer there. But looking
Yeah,
at Cubs
and
team, oh, go ahead.
I'll say one more thing. Sorry. I'll say one more thing. It's one thing to say a guy's available, you know, it's another thing to say I'm gonna accept an offer at 5 o'clock for this guy if I don't get a better offer. I think one
To be
is
fair, the 5 o'clock comment came after I had made an offer.
okay. Okay.
It's slightly different but similar message that came out before that Bijan was generally looking to be dealt. But
Gotcha.
I see what you're saying. But taking a look at Cubs team, so it'll be some bad blood here for the week, and Joey gets off to a good start. Looking at Cubs team, he definitely has a chance to make some of it up. I think Josh Allen against Atlanta will be looking to right some wrongs that happened last week against New England. Josh Jacobs against Cincinnati could just absolutely tear that defense up. And then Cortland Sutton gets to go up against the Jets defense that just got torched by some receivers in Dallas whose names I've never heard, Flournoy or something.
And Bill had a huge week last week,
And
and
Bill.
if he can continue, I mean, that's huge. I will say this game right now, the projected total is an 18-point difference. I'd be willing to bet it's closer than that.
I agree. You get kind of that inflated number from Goddard going off on Thursday. But good luck to both of you. All right, second to last here, we've got Scott and Lucas. Both of us, no, this is the only game we differ on this week, actually, Clayton.
Yeah, I'll start here with Lucas's team since I picked Lucas's team. Well, Brees Hall, I think, is averaging like I don't know, 15 plus points with Fields as the starter. So I really like Brees Hall, even against a Denver defense that can be a little stingy. Stephon Diggs has been balling, a guy who I just can't believe I dropped at this point. But I do like Stephon Diggs. I like Drake London out of a bye against the Buffalo defense that doesn't look super great. I mean, you saw Diggs tear him up last week. You kind of saw Say Flowers tear him up in week 1. So I think there's points to be had there for Diggs. And then I think ETN gets back on track against Seattle.
And then one interesting point to end off with this team, you can't see it here, but he's actually looking like he's going to sit Garrett Wilson right now. A guy that we talked about in our most valuable picks on Tuesday, who is probably going to get shadowed by Pat Surtain in an early London game. So, but he's also a top 5 receiver in terms of average points right now. So, a bold move by Lucas. I see why he's doing it, but we'll see if it pays off for him. And then going into Scott's team, um, big reason I picked Scott is the Kyren Williams versus Baltimore matchup. I could see him getting in the end zone at least a couple of times. Well, maybe not at least, but definitely see him getting in the end zone a couple of times against that terrible, terrible defense. And then the receivers, DK and Keenan, I think will pick it back up where they left off. DK against Cleveland, they just got rid of Greg Newsome, one of their better corners, trade him for a different early pick in Tyson Campbell. But I think he'll keep it up. Rachaad White should get most of the work against San Francisco, and their defense hasn't looked anything special this year. And then Jaden Bean back in a battle of the top 1 and 2 picks on Monday night against Chicago. I think he'll have a reason to come out and show that he's better than Caleb. Put up some points.
Yeah. You got Rachaad White with no Bucky. That's big for Scott there. I will say, I think David Montgomery might struggle to get some points in this particular matchup. And I think Laporta might as well. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't love the Lions against back at Arrowhead after a loss against the Jags. I think the Chiefs have got to be pretty fired up, and I do like their defense. I know Jacksonville just put up some points against them, but I do like their defense. The interesting thing right now that I see out of Scott is the Lions D in his starting lineup.
I cannot imagine that stays, but it is getting late in the week. It would be bold. I for one think that it will be a high scoring game for Scott to have the 2 Lions. You're hoping you get in on that, but you definitely don't want your defense involved.
Yeah, right now that game, the line or like the over under is 52.5. So that's
Yeah,
tricky.
26 apiece. That's tough news for a defense. All right, game of the week has to be. Oh crap! I guess I left a check mark next to my name. Well, that'd probably be all right. Um, me versus Tanner. Um, again, we've got some info. It's a rematch from week one, which I also won. I have to pick myself. Clayton picked against me. He's finally kind of come to his senses here, I think. But I'll let him talk about Tanner's team first. I'll go second here.
I will say, I mean, even though I dropped Justin Herbert, I do like the Justin Herbert play. I just didn't want to have two very similar quarterbacks on my roster. But I do like the Justin Herbert play against Miami a lot. I do like Williams against Carolina. I like JK against the Jets. I I like, to be honest, a lot of his matchups. But I also saw Cam Skatte-BOOM scored three tutties today. I mean,
They should have gotten 100
the hat
yards.
trick of
They
tutties.
started
The
started taking
week,
knees at 98 yards.
yeah, yeah. But the hat trick of tutties the week the NHL season starts. I mean, how do I pick against that?
He's
Team
a man of the
name
people.
and everything. Technically, the Giants would be the Devils' NFL team. So I just there's no shot I pick against that.
Why we're rocking the Giants blue right now. My boy came through. Like I said, so glad he didn't get included in the trade. Would much rather have Swift in there, and really his breakout game here. I mean, he's had a couple touchdowns already against Dallas and Kansas City, but nothing like tonight where he was even with Tracy back, which I admittedly was a little bit concerned about. He dominated all the touches. He caught the ball in the backfield. He looked awesome on their last drive when they were just running the clock out and they couldn't tackle the guy. I love having him on the team to go along with my staple of Chiefs playing in a game that I expect to be high scoring and where Pat has looked awesome. Kelsey's in the top five of tight ends. He's looked pretty good. Got a couple touchdowns this season, and I expect Xavier Worthy to just get more and more involved as the year goes on. And then Bijan in the flex. I mean, what are you gonna do with Bijan in the flex?
Yeah, I will say I also like your matchups. I talked about Tanner's matchups. I like your matchups too. You get all your Chiefs against Detroit, a game that I think both teams will be scoring points. So that benefits you. We already talked about the over under on points being about 52.5. You got Jonathan Taylor against an Arizona team that just got embarrassed last week. You got Jalen Waddle against the Chargers team that also kind of got embarrassed for the last 2 weeks, and no Tyreek Hill there. He looked amazing without Tyreek Hill. Bijan in the flex just seems too good to be true. And then I know I dropped the Packers D because they got lit up against Dallas, but to get the Packers D against Joe Flacco, it's just
In his
this
first
could
week in
be
Cincy,
a really high scoring game for both people.
I would love to see a little bit of competition. Right now, it's not projected to be particularly close. On pace for 142 over here. Another big week. I expect to stay as the top scorer and the top record holder at the end of this week. And with that, we can move into recap or some of these picks. Oh, God dang it, I left the check mark here too. Sorry, Tanner. My bad there. But see if you can prove me wrong. I'm not in, I'm at 15-10. You're at 9-16. We've only got one game different this week, so won't change too awfully much. But we'll see how well we gauge these.
Yeah, I think I'm still looking for my first week with positive, like being above 500 in the picks. So I hope I can do that this week. That's my goal. 3-2.
Well, good luck. I think you get there. And I think with that we'll wrap it up. It's been a great night of football. Been a great night of podcasting. I think we'll have another good weekend.
Yeah, let's just hope I don't have any more injuries because I think I'd go crazy.
Stay healthy, everybody. Have a great week 6. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, good luck, everyone.
Little bit more
I think everybody will at least watch that.